Hello everyone, this is episode 13, Rosa von Werder speaking here, aka Kelly Everts. I am talking about financial disempowerment, and I briefly gave an overview how I was prevented from earning a living. I was never given an allowance. My mother pretended she was good-hearted and was going to give me an allowance, and then she presented it to my brother Jimmy and other members of the household, and they shot it down because that's what she wanted them to do. And she wanted their confirmation that it wasn't necessary. Now, I still worked at home for free for all of them. I still did some cleaning, but it was very easy to clean a beautiful new house. But I did ironing, and I remember, this is a silly little anecdote. I was ironing my brother's pants. This is the brother that beat me up, that tried to impale me on a spear a long time before, when he was like almost 10 years old. This is the brother that hated me, that squealed on me, that lied about me, that brought home tall tales from school, that did everything possible to ridicule and humiliate me, and make a joke out of me, and, you know, he just did what she wanted him, what Mom wanted him to do, and what he might have done anyway, because he was a nasty boy, like many boys. He was nasty. So, you would think that I would receive, you know, because Mom did get some money from Dad. I mean, he was not a deadbeat dad, even though she ran away with another man. In a sneaky way. I'll explain that later. It wasn't like disappeared or anything. The man was brought into the family, into the apartment, the house that we had on Delancey Street in Newark. And he was brought into to physically live with us in a house we had on Van Buren Street in Newark, next to the library. He literally had his own room. The man lived with us. The man became the next husband. Marius Bernotas was his name. That's the Lithuanian. Marius Bernotas is his name, was his name. And so you would think that Mother was not broke. She worked, and other members of the household worked. You would think, you know, she would be kind enough to give me the money for my school notebooks and pens and whatever I needed for school. She wouldn't. How I scrounged around to get, I probably had someone else in the house help me get notebooks and pens and things like that. And I remember going to the dentist and having just a little bit of money saved up that I had from working. It was very cheap compared to today. What would cost you hundreds of dollars would cost you $10, $20 at the most. And I had a bad toothache, and I scraped up enough money to go to the dentist. He was right next door in Middletown in the tract. But I had such an anxiety attack when he put laughing gas on me, and he might have tried to touch me or something, and I suddenly woke up and jumped and screamed. I was all alone with the man. He probably tried to do something to me. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know why I jumped up and screamed. So he gave me a prescription for tranquilizers that he wouldn't work on me. Who the crap had the money to pay for this prescription for tranquilizers when I barely scraped up the money for the filling in the tooth? So Mom wouldn't give me the money for the dentist. She did not finance my basic needs, which would be illegal. But I didn't understand that. I should have told my father things like that, but my father had abandoned me. I'll explain in another segment how my father abandoned me. He didn't abandon his heart. I'm sure he kept me in his heart. but he did not permit me to come live with him, which is what I needed, what I pleaded for. Okay, so I had no money, except a little bit of money that I would work a week or 2 or 3 till she found out where I was. And that was the money that I spent on clothing and necessities, clothing, maybe makeup or whatever, a little bit of makeup. I didn't wear a ton of makeup. I was a teenager, but I liked wearing makeup, deodorant, things like that. So, her idea was, why would you want somebody to be broke? She wanted me to be weak. Weak, anxious, disempowered. Disempowered is the word you're going to hear a lot. If I had been able to work, I would have been a happy camper. But I was not. Now, I have to say, I had hand-me-downs clothing, so I dressed nicely. I was allowed to wear hand-me-downs that other members of the household had that I did not own, where I did not own the clothing. And it was in Middletown that a lot of things changed. I had a girlfriend, and I'm going to tell you a funny, to offset some of this serious, traumatic, depressing type of incidents, I'm going to tell you a funny one. I had a good girlfriend. How we got together and we had a little bit of fun. It was at this point in Middletown that I did everything possible to get out of the house. I tried working, but you wouldn't let me, so what did I do next? When I wasn't looking for the next job so I'd get fired from. So this girlfriend and I, the Greek big girl, not obese, but a little bit chubby, nice girl. I liked her very much. She used to call up, that was her idea. I wasn't clever enough to think of it. Call up the Army. We had Fort Monmouth and Fort Dick. Fort Dick is very apropos, isn't it? Fort Monmouth and Fort Dick. She found out, she met a guy, I guess, and she got their number at the barracks. So the two of us used to call up the barracks and say, "Is Joe there?" And the guy at the barracks would say, "Is Joe here? What's his last name?" He'd go, "We didn't tell us. He just said Joe, so we don't know his last name." "Is Joe here?" He'd call. He's come back. "Joe isn't here." So we go, "Is Henry there?" He'd go, "What's his last name?" "We don't know." "Is Henry there?" "No, Henry isn't here." "How about John? Is John there?" "Is John here?" John comes to the phone. "Yeah." So we would make a date with John and say to John, "You got a friend?" He always had a friend. Of course he had a friend in the barracks. Of course. So they always had cars. I don't know how they got cars, but these guys always had cars. And they weren't terribly old. They were just 18, 19, 20 years old, these guys. So they would pick us up. So one time, both of the guys that showed up, this only happened that I could recall twice, but it was a nice idea. So one time, 2 of them picked us up. Well, one of them with the other guy. And we were hungry. We didn't have any food. Money for food, I should say. They took us to an Italian restaurant. They were both ugly. So after we ate the dinner, one was fat, one was skinny, but they were both ugly and had no appeal whatsoever as males. No appeal. So when we got done eating, we went to the kitchen and we said to the cook, "Do you have a back door?" And the cook said, "Yeah." "Where is it?" "Over there." We ran out the back door and ran like hell. And disappeared to where we were staying. Scared! We were shaking. I remember we ran in the building and we hid in the attic. We were so scared. And we were shaking. "Oh, you think they might find us?" But when I think back, I pity the guys. But you know, men have done so many evil, nasty things to me. I shouldn't pity them. So there's a story to lighten things up, and I'll tell you more like that. To be continued.